Good morning. Well, we're now engaging in an activity that we have done pretty much 50% of the day for the last week or more, and that is looking at the map to see where the fire is in Sequoia National Forest in relationship to our cabin. We've mentioned to you that our cabin is endangered by the fire, and so we really are keeping close tabs on it and attending virtual meetings of the firefighters and talking to our neighbors. And so today we feel particularly worried, and I just wanted to update you where the fire is and what it looks like in relationship to our cabin. But I will mention that even the weather today and the sun today is being impacted by the fire.
In Los Angeles.
In Los Angeles, we feel. We're going to show you a picture and you're going to see. It's sort of early afternoon and it looks like it's sunset because of the smoke that's covering the sun. So we're going to go straight to the map, and my expert map reader is going to tell you all about it.
Let's go. So I'm going to give you a tour of the fire using several different tools that are available to the public. This first map that I'm going to show you is provided by the state of California, and it's Caltopo, CALTOPO.com. And it's a general use GIS mapping system. And you'll see in the middle right here is the current KNP complex fire. So we're looking at the KNP complex fire, which resides in Sequoia National Park, Sequoia National Forest, and some county lands for Tulare County. Just to orient you, here's the San Joaquin Valley, here are the Sierra Nevadas. This fire here is the Windy Complex fire, and then we'll scroll up to the KNP complex fire. And what this mapping system allows you to do is, what it does is it compiles data from a number of different satellites, and you can turn the data from those satellites on and off, which I will do here. And what I've turned on is the fire activity, and let me orient you. The area in the middle here is where the main Sequoia National Park is. The General Sherman Grove, the General's Highway is up in here. Lodgepole is over here. Many people may have visited that area. But as you come south and east a little bit, you get to an unpopulated area of Sequoia National Park. It's very rugged and largely inaccessible. And I'm going to focus on this southeastern edge of the fire.
Can you tell us what the colors mean?
Sure, I will do that. So generally, the brighter the colors, the more recent the data is from the satellites. So the yellow is, I believe, 6 to 12 hours old. There's a mustard color, which is more than 24 hours old. And the red spots are 0 to 6 hours old. So you'll see that the red spots on this edge of the fire are the most recent satellite data. So this southern area of the fire, the southern lobe, is in a remote area of Sequoia National Park. Our cabin is in an even more remote area of Sequoia National Park, which is this valley here called the Mineral King Valley, which is the East Fork drainage of the Kaweah River. And this black line you see is the road to our cabin. I'm going to zoom in a little bit and show you where the leading edge of the fire is in relationship to our cabin. So here's the leading edge of the fire, and here's our cabin right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a ruler tool to measure the distance between this leading edge and between our cabin, and that the map tells me that that's 3.34 miles. And this is roughly uphill to our cabin. And right along here is a ridge between the Mineral King Valley, the East Fork drainage, and the rest of Sequoia National Park. And as you can see, at the moment, the fire is sitting right on top of that ridge. In fact, the satellite data, I'm going to turn it on and off for a moment. The satellite data, keep your eye on these pixels right here. And when I turn the fire layer off, you'll see where those pixels are on the map. They're right here, which is just over the top of the ridge into the Mineral King Valley. Now, there are 5 hotshot crews up on this ridge right now making a stand to prevent the fire from coming over the top. And I'm going to now turn on a different layer to show you why they're making a stand there. This is a aerial imagery, and as you can see, the fire is right here in kind of a rocky outcropping at the top of the ridge. So unlike other areas where the fire has burned through, like this area, which is all trees, it's currently stalled in these rocks right here. So they're making a stand to stop the fire in the rocks. So I'm going to turn this back on, and you'll see in the fire imagery, the leading edge of the fire is here and here. The ridge is right along here, and Silver City is right here. If the fire gets into these trees, this is an uphill run, more or less, towards Silver City. So we are, on the one hand, close to the fire. On the other hand, we have a natural break between ourselves and the fire, but the fire is starting to creep into the canyon. And this morning, as I say, the Park Service announced that they were dropping 5 hotshot crews into this area to fight the fire on top of the ridge in direct action. They're also using helicopters, and they're also putting in bulldozer lines along here to prevent the fire from getting to the road, which is a natural fire break, but they don't want it to get to the road because then it has some purchase to move up in this direction. And I believe they're also building fire breaks up here. It's very steep country, very difficult to do. Some of it is by bulldozers, some of it is by hand. But I'm going to switch to another view of the same fire. This is from the Park Service, and it shows the perimeter of the fire pretty clearly. And here is the same ridge we're talking about, and you'll see that the Park Service shows that the fire has just crept over the ridge near Redwood Creek, and this is where they're making the stand. In Silver City itself, CAL FIRE has been there for several days. It's clearing brush, it's putting in hand lines, it may be putting in bulldozer lines, and they're possibly going to spray the cabins with a water gel if the fire comes through to protect the cabins from a ground fire. If the fire gets up into the crowns of the trees, it would be a very hot fire, and there would be essentially nothing you could do to stop it or to save the cabin. So that's, we're dependent on the weather, we're dependent on what type of fire it is, and then we're dependent on the ability of CAL FIRE and the Park Service to stop the fire.
So this weekend will be critical to determining, the progress of the fire and how it will impact our cabin. So think good thoughts, fingers crossed. We'll update you.